Welcome to the London Commercial Offices podcast with me, your host, Steve Berridge, Managing Director at Fidgens Cost Management. This is a podcast where we share the stories, career paths, lessons and insights from some of the industry's most influential people. Anything contained within our podcast should not be considered professional advice, and if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe or follow buttons to ensure you don't miss any of the amazing guests we've got coming up. It also really helps us grow the show. Thanks. Today I'm joined by Tobi Crosbie, founder and CEO at Making Moves, a London office consultancy focused on supporting occupiers with their office strategies. Making Moves is approaching their 10-year anniversary in January and has grown rapidly to a now 34-strong team. Today we're going to talk through Tobi's career journey and some of the challenges he's seeing in the London office market. So without further ado, Tobi, welcome to the show.
Hi Steve, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Right, you'll know from other episodes that we like to start right back at the beginning. So how far back would you like to go?
The best place to start really is school. I actually went to a really good school, had a really good time. But on reflection, the studying I did was all very kind of, straightforward English, maths, geography, history. Really came away from school with not really knowing what I wanted to do, and actually fell into a degree at Sheffield Hallam University, which was a property degree, on the basis that I liked the idea of doing something with buildings. And also there was a business element to the course that I did. It was called Urban Land Economics at the time.
So was there any other property influence in your life at that point in time? Parents, friends of friends?
No, my dad was a scouser in the RAF, went into IT after he left the RAF. And my mum worked at HR at Weetabix for 25 years. So it was very much like nothing to do with property. None of my family worked in property. There was always been a kind of an attraction to buildings. That was the driver for that. When I got to university, started to really actually like the course, and in particular the business part. The property part was great, but actually where I really enjoyed was the sessions around balance sheets, profit and losses, and that business side. And then as part of that course, I did a placement year in the third year, which was at DTZ up in Manchester, with two guys, Andrew Gardner and Colin Thomason, came and interviewed me, got on really well with them, and I went and did a placement year up there. And then actually just really enjoyed working, didn't ever stop talking about it. I was always, whoever I met, I was telling them about my job and what I was doing, and just really started to realise my passion for both agency and for property and just generally for business. And then went back for my final year at Sheffield. Just before Christmas, in my final year, I got offered a place at DTZ in London on their graduate recruitment programme. The thing was, I had to get a 2-1. And at the time, I was kind of on for a 2-2 if I was lucky. I spent quite a lot of my time when I was at university not doing study. I used to say raving, not revising, basically, is what
I think they call it networking.
Yeah, networking. Yeah. So I really had to knuckle down. I stopped all the partying, got myself in the library, got myself really focused, and then basically came out with a 2-1. Came to London, joined the DTZ programme, really enjoyed my time there, particularly in the first 2 years up until RICS qualification. A really good bond of people, and those people I'm still in touch with now. So they make up part of my professional network. A lot of them work on the landlord side. So if I have a client that's struggling or having an issue with a negotiation on a building, there's often someone at a top level now that I can call that was part of that DTZ program to have a sensible chat to get a deal over the line. So I've created some really strong bonds from that group of people. DTZ was great. Absolutely fantastic time. We got to 2008, the financial crisis. I was actually on holiday at the time when Lehman Brothers collapsed. I remember phoning my boss at the time and said, if you're going to make me redundant, let me know now, and I'll go traveling for a year. I was in Singapore at the time, so I was well prepared for that coming. By the time I came back, my team had halved. And over the next kind of 12 to 18 months, we went down to a team of about 6 people, which was hard. And it was a real lot to take, both, real lessons learnt there for professionally, but also in terms of resilience as a person, having to go through multiple rounds of redundancy, seeing some really good people leave the business and having that worry about losing your job over a period of time. First, resilience shown by me to get through it, but also actually made me realise that I wanted to be in control of my own destiny. I didn't want that, at one point you're doing really well and then suddenly
The rug's pulled out from underneath you.
exactly, you've got no control over it. Stayed there for a few more years, battled through, and then just decided, firstly, at that time I was doing Southeast Agency, which was a lot of big transactions, quite slow paced. And I wanted to come into something that was a bit more energetic and also, being honest, a bit more glitzy, and liked the idea of London central offices, and joined Devono.
Up until that time, was it sort of logistics, Southeast stuff that you were doing, or it was offices, but just
It
out
was
in the regions?
offices. Yeah, so a lot of the people I worked for, big pharmaceutical companies, Pfizer at the time, and a number of other big firms, and it was all about sizable lots that took a long time for the deal to transact. So you could be working on something for 3 to 5 years, and it would take that long for the transaction to happen. Whereas central London, the majority of deals are done within 12 months, if not less. 6 months. So it's just the energy behind it, and I think the main attraction to central London was just the buildings. There always has been, but even more than now, there's some real iconic structures in our landscape which are known worldwide, and being able to say that I've acquired some space in some of those buildings is a great thing to have on your CV. Yeah, so I left DTZ, went to Devono. At the time, they were very much seen as like a startup, a disruptor. I liked the way they were working. Learnt a lot from Rob Lee about how to approach agency from a very, very different way of working. And the guys there, I learned so much about how to do a deal, how to do lots of deals in a short period of time, and just generally how to balance a lot of plates, spin a lot of plates at one time. And because we were doing so many transactions, we also saw so many buildings. I met so many people, so many different clients, and it was just a really, really good and exciting time to see that business grow. But again, as businesses grow, I lost that excitement a little bit, in terms of it just became a bit of a bigger business. It wasn't what it was when I started.
Talk to me about headcount. So when you joined Devono, what was the sort of headcount roughly?
I think we were about 10 when I started, and when I left, they were probably about 25. And that was over a 4.5 year period. For an agency, that's quite a lot. It doesn't sound a lot if you're a tech business, but actually, it's a sizable growth. They were doing really well, adding different divisions to their team. It was a good, exciting time, but I think very focused on transactional, money-driven business, which I totally understand. I think I just started to get these feelings that I wanted to do my own thing, and also that I wanted a bit more kind of like culture around me in terms of a business that I wanted to drive forward that was kind of culture-led. So I had a couple of things happen in my life personally, going through a divorce at the time, some other bits and bobs, and I was just like, you know what, this is the time to do it. I ended up selling a flat. I ended up scraping some money together through some friends, and off I went on the Making Moves journey.
So what date was that?
I left Devono in October 2014. I had a couple of months gardening leave, and we were up and running in January 2015. So we're 10 in January.
At that point in time then, so you talked about, you had an idea for a business and a culture that's, around you. Talk to me about that. So what was at that point in time, what was the vision for Making Moves when you set it up?
Yeah. I mean, originally, being honest, it was a lifestyle business. It was like I needed to do something for me as an individual, and just to kind of look something that would make me happy and proud of. When you start looking at the business plan and you start planning out things and what you need, and I was like, hang on a second, like I've got something here that I could grow. And if I'm going to grow it, I want it to be culture led. So what I mean by that is that you put the people first. And I have a bit of a mantra, which is people leads to profit. And I'm a big believer that if you look after your people, you treat them well, you incentivize them, you train them, and you give them opportunity, you provide them with opportunity, then they will perform better for you. That's what we've done from day one. I've always provided people with opportunity, and going forward, even with a business of 34 people, that is our mantra. It's people first, profit next, and it's all about providing people with an opportunity. And I'm not silly. I understand people will come into our business and they will leave. What I like to hear when they leave is that they've had a good, enjoyable experience and that they've grown. They've learned something from us, and that they can take something away, and they know how to treat people with respect. They know how to negotiate with the client. They know how to respect a client, but also give them the right advice, which is not always what they want to hear. And also they've learned how to communicate within a team, and that they've learned to collaborate, and they've learned to work together, being much stronger than trying to do this thing on your own.
Sort of look back on your typical day as, call it, solopreneur at that point in time. Your typical day then versus and how that's evolved over the last 10 years. So presumably you were, running around all over town as a one-man band 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly that. So very transactional. I think I hear this over and over again with people who run their own businesses, particularly when they're on their own, is you go through this period where you have to BD. So you're having to pick up the phone, you're having to speak to people, you've got to try and sell something that you don't really have anything to sell apart from yourself. You don't have any track record. I'm so grateful that some clients really went, do you know what, we like the idea of using someone that's been in the industry for a while and very hands-on. So that was a great journey to go through. But also you're doing your BD, then you win the jobs, and then you have to do the transactions, and then you've got this kind of hole where the money comes in, but there's no pipeline. So you're back to doing the BD, and there's nothing you can do. That's just how the world goes. It's sort of this roller coaster. And it was very much like having to bring on a BD person. Kia, my business partner, joined me in year 2, and we sort of grew it from there. And slowly over that period of time, I've realized that I really enjoy the business side of what I do, and more enjoy the business side than I do the transactional side. So that's meant recruiting people, deal with the agency. I also say I think agency is a young man's game, or young person's game. It's very much you need that energy. You've got to be willing to put the hours in. You've got to be willing to put the time and the energy in there to get the deals done. And you do lose that over time. 2 children, lack of sleep. You don't have that same level of energy. So again, providing opportunity to people to come and join this business and enjoy that energy for 5, 6, 7, 10 years, however long it may be. And me moving on into more of a strategic business focused role, which is what I spend most of my time doing now. So we've just set our new vision and values for the next 3 years. I'm working on our 3-year strategy. I have a lot more involvement in big critical decisions than I used to ever have to make. So the other big difference is that I spend a lot of time with new departments. So if we set up a new department, it kind of comes under my control for the first 12 months.
A quick 15-second pause in today's content to tell you about the amazing work we do at Fidgins. We're a small but powerful team of cost consultants based on Oxford Street and focused on the London commercial sector. We help project managers and end users successfully deliver a vision for their projects. For our smaller schemes, 10,000 square foot and upwards, we offer a neat one-stop solution covering PM, CM and EA roles, which is particularly well suited for fast-paced, budget-constrained projects. We also work with a range of brilliant project managers on larger office fit-outs where we solely provide cost management services. These currently include 2 exciting large occupier schemes, both with build costs in excess of 20 million. Whether you're an end user, an asset manager or a project manager, our only rule is that you're nice to work with, because life's too short to not enjoy your day job. So if you want to find out how we do things differently, send me a message on LinkedIn and we can have a chat. Now, back to the show.
We try and get it profitable, and then it shifts into the control of our MD. So that's kind of how the process of the business works. So it's really changed. I do miss the transactions. I'm not going to lie. I love doing deals. It's just naturally in my blood. And any chance I get to cover a viewing tour, go out and see all the agents, see the buildings, negotiate on a deal if someone's on holiday, I will do it. Like, I'll always take it on, because I think it's important to keep you in the market a little bit, but also it's just a general feeling. I love it.
So your role now is kind of providing the framework for, and I'm going to say for the younger guys and girls to go out and do the transactions. How do you see, so you're at 34 strong now and we're end of 2024. If I was to ask you your sort of short-term plans for the business, as in next year, but looking ahead slightly longer term, where do you see, you're at 34 now, where do you see the business going over time?
Yeah, our focus for the next 3 years is to double our revenue. That's been set in our strategic plan. That involves the growth of our agency team. It's not doubling the agency team, but it's adding heads into that team.
And how do you find that as a challenge currently in terms of getting talent into the building? Is it difficult? Is it a very competitive space?
Yeah, really tough. Silly salaries being paid at the moment, if you ask me. I don't
think that's unique to agency, to be honest. I think that's.
We have always worked on a commission model with our staff. We believe in incentivizing people to do deals and do them properly, and earning the rewards that they should get from doing those deals. But some of the base salaries which are flying around the market are eye-wateringly high, and I personally, from running a 35-person business, can't quite see how you can make that work financially and make a profit. And I know from experience that some of the salaries, it just doesn't work. It's not viable. So that I think is a problem with entry into a business.
So it's got to then be, how do you, I'm going to say, promote yourselves as a business that a base salary isn't the most important thing. So it's about offering something else. And from your perspective, that's culture.
Culture, commission reward. If you're willing to take, like I did when I joined Devono, I went from a very nice base salary. I took a drop in my salary when I went to Devono, which I was more than happy to do because I knew I could see in 2-3 years' time, I was going to be earning a lot more money than I would if I'd have stayed at DTZ. And I did. And here it's kind of just educating people that, they might take a lower salary, but if they wait 12 months, not even that sometimes, they will be earning a considerable amount more than they will the base that they're currently being paid at a corporate. So that's one thing. I think training. If you come here, you learn a lot. We invest a lot of money into not just on the job training, but learning how to pitch, learning how to business develop, those all-round skills that you need to actually be a good, strong person in business. Particularly from a consultancy services point of view, you learn that here, and we make sure, because it benefits us, but again, it comes back to the individual. It helps that individual and the culture. We hear it all the time. We promote our culture a lot through social media. I get comments on it all the time. Looks like a great place to work. We're not making it up. It's not.
I did have a look at your website, and I think there is an element of that, an element of playfulness that comes through your website, more so than perhaps some of your competitors who are perhaps have more of a corporate look and feel. So I quite enjoyed navigating around your website.
Yeah. Well, we once won a pitch off the dogs on our About Us page because someone said they really liked our dogs, and that was the final thing that made them use us.
I did see that. What was their job title? You got Moose, the lapidations expert, as well as Marley, the senior leash advisor. Yeah. That's quite creative.
Yeah. I thought that wasn't me. I'm not that creative.
No. Bringing it back to kind of work, how are you finding, I suppose, the office market currently? I suppose that's two questions to that. It's just generally for this year, but particularly after October's budget. Have you seen any big sort of spikes in activity since then? I
think it's just more business as usual. If we look at the budget question, the big concern for me was that there was going to be something in there that was going to knock confidence or make people really look at what they're spending. And I know the NI thing is a problem, and capital gains more if you're looking to sell your business in the future, that could be an issue. But there was nothing in there where I was like, oh no, we've got a real problem here. And I feel like it's just continued, business as usual since that date. So that's the budget part. So really no change. From a yearly point of view, this is the first year where I felt, this is a pure gut feeling, this business feels like it did in 2018, which at the time was our best year ever. We were absolutely flying. We had a really good pipeline. We were transacting left, right and centre. we were getting known, people were aware of our brand, and we really had some traction. Going into 2019, that was getting better and better, and then obviously 20 all fell apart. 21, 22, 23 has been about repairing and trying to build back what we lost. And this year it feels like we've actually, really regained that momentum. And everything in this office is about positivity now. It's looking forward, strategic plans, the growth of the business. Like, there's some really good signs coming out of it. And the mentality here has very much changed to, we're going to go and smash this now. We're going to go and take over this market, rather than, where's our next invoice coming from? What's happening here with cash? The negative side of business that you don't really want to be involved with.
Focus on the products.
And
everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah. And then clients wise, there's been a lot of talk over the last few years about flight to quality. So clients looking to take good quality spaces, so high quality fit outs, often wanting a fit out in place, either prepared by the landlord or a sum of cash being available from the landlord, because they don't want to spend the money on fit out. Where we've seen things change is due to a lack of supply, clients are now maybe taking a slightly more relaxed view on that, and they're actually saying, we could maybe take a grade B building, so a secondary building, pay a little bit less on the rent, but actually do the fit out ourselves. So I think that's maybe where things have slightly changed, is that, if you'd have asked me this question 12 months ago, it's like everyone wants it fitted. And I don't think that's the case anymore. Some of our larger clients, say over 150 people, are pretty much focused on, we want our own space. We want to design it ourselves. We want to fit it out ourselves. They want the associated rent free from the landlord in the deal to accommodate that. So,
and am I right in thinking that you guys help facilitate that process as well internally?
We do, yeah. We don't, in terms of the
fit out, project management of fit out, helping them design their space.
Yeah, so the project management arm is there to manage the fit out process. We obviously don't do the fit out ourselves, but
or the cost management piece.
Yeah, cost management piece of it. Yeah. So the policing. So
I have this debate with my wife all the time, trying to explain what we do as a profession. I haven't come up with the right answer
yet. Yeah, we do that, but I think there's definitely more demand. Our pipeline is the highest it's ever been. Going into 25, we've got the strongest pipeline we've ever had, which is, superb news. The demand, we assess where people go in terms of office product, and we normally split that into serviced and leased spaces. 12 months ago, the ratio was 70% serviced and 30% leased. That's now started to balance out a little bit more, so it's probably 50-50 now. And I think we've always said we like it at 50-50. So, from a revenue point of view, we're not too reliant on one source.
But what do you think's the reason behind that? Because, I can look at it and think that there was a jump to service because uncertainty about office, whether there is going to be a need for an office in the future, not wanting to sign up to leases. So do you therefore think that clients now have a bit more confidence that the office is there to stay, and therefore they're willing to invest in that longer lease and do their own fit outs?
I think it's down to that there is an element of that. And I think that there's also that I've spoken to a number of occupiers recently that built their return to the office on the basis of a small proportion of people coming back to the office. So they maybe said 25% of the team are going to use this office and the rest are going to work from home. And then over the last 2 to 3 years, there's been a higher demand from their staff to have some form of office for a number of days per week. So what's actually happened is that they've taken a small space in a service of, say, 30 people to accommodate that for the people that want to be in the office all the time. And then as that demand has increased, they've gone, actually, we now need to move to a more permanent location where we can house all of our staff, give them a desk if they want it, for 3 to 5 days a week. The demand from that is driven by the return to the office. I'm not just saying that because I acquire offices. You can see it, you can feel it, that there's this return. And you speak to any occupier, or the majority of occupiers that haven't gone fully remote, they're saying that staff want somewhere to work from. And it's still being dictated by that 2 to 3 days a week, but they don't want to be at home 5 days a week on their own in the bedroom.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So in terms of that split then, 50-50 now, do you see that balancing out and staying like that now for the longer term, or can you see it skewing even more in favour of occupiers taking their own leases?
Yeah, I think it's going to be driven by supply. So supply is really low, particularly in central London. Like I went to a presentation a few weeks ago and they were saying, in areas like Waterloo, which has always been high demand, that they had about 8 months worth of supply left based on current take up. Eye-wateringly scary, because that means in 8 months' time, if nothing new is built, there's no stock left. And I've never known it. 25 years in the industry, I've never heard of that before. So if we can't keep up with demand for leasehold spaces, I think people could be driven back to serviced because they've got no choice, and it means that they can go and take something for 12 months. More stock comes back to the market. They might then come back to leasehold spaces. That is potentially what might happen. But some of the development pipeline is coming through and isn't being pre-let, which could actually bolster the supply levels up and increase them, which could then deal with that demand. So it depends how that goes. So if everything's pre-let over the next 12 months, we might be in a bit of a pickle, and everyone goes back to service, which will skew those percentages.
So yeah, a short-term solution, just whilst we wait for the stock to come back up.
Exactly, yeah.
What are you most looking forward to for next year?
Most exciting thing for us is we're diversifying. We're launching a Making Moves residential team, which I've been working on for the last 12 months. We have just finalised our recruitment of that department. We're really looking forward to launching that at the beginning of next year. So seeing how that grows, seeing how that business develops, potentially opens up an opportunity abroad, particularly in places, growing markets like Dubai, the US, etc. That's probably the thing which I'm most excited about for next year.
I look forward to hearing about it. Okay, well, look, thanks ever so much for joining us. We will catch up again at some point next year.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Tobi. Take care. This podcast is sponsored by Fidgins, a London-based cost consultancy. Please visit fidgins.co.uk to find out more about our market-leading service and some of the amazing clients we get to work with. We're super open to guest recommendations for this podcast, so if there's anyone in the industry you'd like to get on the show, please visit the website or send me a message on LinkedIn and I'll try to make it happen. Thanks, and bye for now.